Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Every bit of support is greatly appreciated. Now let's get to the video. Also, make sure to check out our live streams this month. We'll be streaming Hollow Knight Silksong, Borderlands 4, and Pac-Man World Repack 2, all throughout September. Hope to see you there. Yeah, you know what it is, let's go. I love licensed games, you love watching me talk about them, let's talk about them. We got 5 more games here, including some requests. Leave your game in the comments and I will eventually get to them. Make sure you leave the game's title and what system it was on. And while we're on the topic of suggestions, try to keep them Halloween themed this month since we're coming up on October super quick. Thank you all for the support. So my first entry for this episode is a bit of a repeat, but seeing that my LEGO game ranking blew up a bit, and it seems I may have pissed some of you off because of that ranking, alongside a recent announcement of a new LEGO Batman game for next year, I am hyped. I wanted to revisit LEGO Batman the game. A game I definitely did give a little strife to due to my personal experience with it. I played the Steam version, which kept glitching and fucking up on me, and I think I gave LEGO Batman a hard time because of it. This was one of the most revolutionary LEGO games, so I mean, it's a little weird that I definitely gave it a lot more strife than some of the others. So to prove I can change, I bought the Xbox 360 version of the game on the Xbox store for a low price of $3, and I can safely say I was just playing the wrong version. This game kicks ass, and considering when it came out, it laid the groundwork for future LEGO games, especially LEGO Batman. I might still prefer the sequels over this one, but that might just be me personally. The game, of course, had a lot of early LEGO game quirks. They don't talk, it's mostly just fighting and puzzle solving, but it's done in a solid way. And honestly, when I was younger, 2 things defined Batman for me. The Dark Knight, yeah, fucked up movie to show a 10-year-old, and this. LEGO Batman definitely cemented itself as a staple of LEGO games, and if my ranking told you otherwise, consider this an apology. This game kicks ass. Alright, we got a request. This guy was so patient with this, so thank you to that commenter who asked me to play it. Barnyard on the GameCube. This is of course based on the Nickelodeon movie of the same name, and according to this commenter, the game is actually better. So let's see what this guy's talking about. I gotta be honest, this game is so fucking good. Wait, what? I assumed when I got this recommended to me, I just thought it would be another brainless Nickelodeon game from the 2000s. 2006 to be exact, when they were slowly coming to a decline. But not only is this a very solid game, but it doesn't take the approach you assume. The game essentially is a life simulator. Yeah, this and goddamn Animal Crossing are essentially the same thing. You're brought in as a newcomer to the barn. I do have to admit the first big thing I had against this was that you couldn't be all kinds of farm animals, you could only be a cow. That could have been cool, but Nickelodeon game, what can you do? Though when I was going through the options, I like how you could see in the background. I wonder if the farmer was just like, I am so hot right now. You do different tasks for different animals around the farm, earning trust from Ben.
Welcome.
Haha, he dies. The tasks ain't nothing special, but they're passable little mini-games. Hell, I really liked Mud Runners. That was surprisingly a really fun and even strategic mini-game. I just gotta check my objectives. Whoa! Is that the map? Whoa, wait, whoa. This is the map to this game? Oh, I'm not exaggerating. There's a lot to do with this game. Honestly, just expected a tie-in to the movie. The movie of which I enjoyed, but I didn't expect this out of it. You could have just had your custom character involved. They did that with the Ghostbusters game. But no, you live your life next to these animals, even trying to get top party animal through these mini-games. Seriously, this much effort went into freaking Barnyard on the GameCube. Speaking of custom characters though, listen to the sounds she makes. She's a cow.
Got milk.
Don't fucking do that to me! Oh my god, she's squirting! Don't make that face, that's what they call it, not me. There's even a whole damn minigame dedicated to it.
Here's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out.
Ben has us looking for Otis's buddies. Again, this map has way too much variety and detail. Freaking Terran Little Creek didn't have this much detail on its map, and that just came out last month. This was almost 20 years earlier. Ugh, looks like they don't like me for doing Ben's dirty work.
It's right there.
Oh, and this game has night missions. Your Barnyard on the GameCube! Nobody expected you to try. And yet you did. You actually did. If I had one issue, the loading screens are a tad long. I'm gonna guess and say that's a GameCube problem. But Jesus, this game easily makes up for the 2 GameCube games I played from my Mario Party clone video. Minigames are fun, the character selection was unique, the map is fun to explore. I didn't expect this to be nearly as good as it was, but it delivered, God bless it. Alright, another request from last video, Johnny Test on the DS. I don't usually do DS games, so I'm curious to see how this works. Off the rip, I do not like how Johnny's looking here. Got a head of spiky hair and a single-digit IQ. So the game is a 2D platformer, as most DS games like this were. And honestly, it's really freaking good. Not one of the great platformers out there, especially for the DS, but for a DS game, it really is surprisingly fun. The controls are super tight, the movements are fun, and the enemies kind of got overwhelming at a certain point. But I can't deny it, this was a lot more fun than I expected Johnny Test on the DS to be. And a surprise, the only thing gameplay-wise I didn't care for was the boss fights. I think it's cool that they actually used Wacko, an actual villain from the show, but this boss fight takes forever and they could have just shaved it a bit. Nicely done, Woof! Dookie doesn't say that. Well, looks like I can land on this platform here. That was obviously a platform! Why would you put that there if it wasn't for landing on? Okay, it's not a perfect platformer, but considering what I expected, I honestly got very few notes. Maybe tighten up the combat and make the boss fights a bit more fun, and you got something solid. What? Yeah, so here's a weird one. Nicktoons MLB for the Xbox 360. Well, I can safely say there's weirder titles and weirder crossovers, especially from Nickelodeon. Well, let's go with tournament mode here. I already like these loading screens, some nice Nickelodeon in-jokes here. This is MLB The Show with Space Jam logic. Not that I would regularly talk about it, but if I wanted to play MLB The Show, I wouldn't talk about Nicktoons MLB. Where are the Nicktoons, damn it? Okay, let's try the single game mode. Okay, here's the character roster, and honestly, solid as hell. It's not just SpongeBob characters and a few one-offs like they did in Nickelodeon Car Racers. We got characters from SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, Invader Zim, a lot of shows from that time period, like Fanboy and Chum Chum and damn, Tough Puppy? Hell yeah! Although Dudley's profile picture does not sit well with me. Down. Dudley Puppy was a pedophile. I will admit my one issue is that there's no Fairly Odd Parents characters. That was probably next to SpongeBob as the most popular Nicktoon back then. And you got Ultra Lord, Powder Toast Man, I don't even know who Yak is. You couldn't have Timmy in there? Maybe Cosmo or Wanda? Hell, even Vicky would have been suffice. Shit, Fanboy and Chum Chum wasn't even popular. It's weird they got a spot here. Not only that, they got a stadium dedicated to them. I don't know how popular it was when it came out, but no way. Dudley's gonna be our pitcher. I'm a fan of dumbasses, being one myself, so Snippy's gonna be our first baseman. Powder Toast Man's gonna be my second base because why the fuck not? Gotta have furry reps in there. Kitty, get that ass over here. She could get it. And for shits and giggles, let's get some Zim representation in there. Oh my god! Oh, okay. That is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen in any of these licensed games. Probably next to the cutscenes from Wreck-It Ralph on the Wii. That is just pure gold. Yeah, so since most of these were in 2D first, it was difficult to translate them to a more fleshy environment. But holy shit, they look hilarious here. Sadly, I do have two issues with this game. One, even with the Nicktoons, it's just MLB The Show. It's just a baseball simulator, but somehow the Flying Dutchman was there. There's barely anything that the Nicktoons even do other than look goddamn ridiculous. How? She's blind. And don't give me that super sonar bullshit. David Ortiz exists in this universe. I ain't buying that. Oh shit. She got her own thing. That's why I love her. Miss Kitty Catswell. Won't you come and sit up on my face? Oh my god, what? She wasn't that curvy in the show, come on. My other issue is that no matter what characters you pick, they do blend in other MLB players on your team, and it just doesn't translate well. I just saw muscular Bread at the plate. How do we fit Prince Fielder after that? Jesus, Patrick stays throwing haymakers. And there comes a giant fish! My biggest thing is it functions, but it's just an MLB game with the Nicktoons pasted on. If they had like goofier mechanics for the Nicktoons and then the MLB players play normally, that would be cool. Hell, most Mario sports games try to switch it up, but it doesn't have anything that makes it stand out, other than the hilarious visuals, which make up most of this game's 6 out of 10 status. If the characters just did cartoony stuff, you know, like cartoons do, I think this would have stood out more. It's a missed opportunity, honestly. As a baseball game, it's fine, but when you're Nicktoons MLB, I expect better. Oh god, I gotta get that taste out of... Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. Yeah, baby! One more request for the night. Cars for the PS2. Oh my god, I am so glad that this got requested because, man, we got ourselves a good one. If I had to argue the best Pixar game of all time, it would be this one. And Toy Story 3 the game, but we're not ready for that yet. Which is funny because the exact opposite applies to the movie Cars. You know how I said Barnyard was an unexpectedly great game? This game I knew was gonna be peak. Now, I have talked about it a couple times before on this channel, but I don't care. Let's do it again. The game follows Lightning McQueen as he goes through races to be the best racer ever. That's the plot of this game, and it's sort of the greatest game ever made. Really think about this. Did you want a platformer game where you control Lightning McQueen through obstacles in different areas like Mario 64? If you did, you'd probably like this movie, and secondly, you would expect this to be a racing game. It's like the Surf's Up game. It could have been something else, but it felt right to be a surfing game. Literally, the entire game is just you racing other cars and doing the best you can. It's not complicated, there's no secret twist, it's just that, and goddammit, it's about as peak as you expect. Fun races, genuinely great minigames on the side, which we'll get to in a bit. And for some reason, a soundtrack similar to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I don't know why this and the Surf's Up game on the Wii thought they needed a Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack, but I dig it. The open world is easily my favorite part of this game. Just driving to where you gotta go, or just exploring Radiator Springs. Although I like that Mater National, the sequel to this game, expanded the open world, and I always liked that more, this is still solid for a tie-in game. Oh yeah, by the way, I'd actually argue Mater National is somehow better than this game, but we're reviewing the first game here, unless someone wants to request Mater National. We sadly do get confirmation that British people exist in the Cars universe.
We've hopped across the pond to give you Yanks 1-4, eh?
Oi, bruv! You fancy yourself a crumpet and a Yorkie bar? Like I said, the one thing better than the races are the mini-games. The tractor tipping one, oh my god, move over Hideo Kojima, look at this! Stealth gameplay at its peak. I also argue this is the one Pixar game that perfectly kept the humor of the movie. Cars was always much more lighthearted than the other 2000s films. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is the movie it followed. A lot more humor, and it perfectly translated here. If I had to nitpick, yeah, sometimes the races were a bit repetitive. If you want to get detailed, Sally Sunshine Circuit is essentially the Radiator Springs Grand Prix track, just reversed. Also, I can't really get into the speedway races. I just don't care for them. It really makes me realize that, EA had to get their inspiration for F1 somewhere. You have to pit stop every so often, depending on where your tires are at, and at first, you might think this is annoying. It puts you behind, you could be the fastest person to press circle and square in the world, and you'd still be in third. Nope. There's no change in the pit stop times as long as you're not overly long. The slowest race cars ever. Indy 500 my ass. Nope, just cut off Chick Hicks. By me! I will say, it's probably the only race I actually got bored of. The others offered shortcuts and other ways on the track, but this is just NASCAR heat, plain and simple. Not today, Michael Keaton. Dynaco Blue! I mean, I won, so I guess I can't complain too much. And the other races are so good that it's hard to say it's not worth it. Though it is weird that it gets so built up. I mean, these are essentially the game's equivalent of boss fights. Oh geez, 4th place? False crazy, bud.
Eat your heart out.
My god, they just don't make licensed games like this anymore. Trust me, I know. They really put so much effort into essentially a game that was supposed to be a tie into a Pixar movie from 2006. It's weird that there are 2 animated films from 2006 that have the same deal going on for them. Fine movies, but insanely good tie-ins. This and Barnyard are peak licensed games, both offering a fun take on the movies they're based on. If I had it my way, every licensed game would be like this, even nowadays. It makes me sad the same effort isn't applied to these licensed games because this is what I remember. I could play a million games like Terra and Little Creek and they wouldn't leave the impact this left on me as a kid. Even Barnyard knew what was up. Sincerely, this is peak licensed gaming.